Story 1. I have an issue with my lungs. I want to exercise more to keep my heart and body healthy, but if I push too hard, I end up in the hospital with a collapsed lung again. It is hard to find the right balance. Story 2. I am a very low-energy person. I barely have the energy to cook dinner, let alone exercise. Most of my energy goes into working because I have to make money somehow. Story 3. Honestly, the fear that others will know that I used to be fit, let myself go, and now I can barely run a mile without stopping. Story 4. Time and weather. During school, I am pretty much gone from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. When I get home, I need to do household chores and go to sleep. In the summer, when I do have time, it is very hot. If my car is not in the shade, everything inside it melts. I also often spend that time traveling. Story 5. My bicycle broke, and I hate running. To be honest, I hate all exercise. It is deathly boring. However, as I have gotten older, I have realized that doing things I dislike regularly is necessary if I want to remain part of society. Story 6. Back pain. I did it consistently for a year, 4 times a week, and I hated it. Yes, I was stronger and looking leaner, but every workout, I was checking my watch every few minutes, desperate for it to be over. I don't know how people enjoy it. Story 7. I get distracted and lose focus somehow in the short distance from my bedroom to the treadmill and weights downstairs. I usually wander off and sit somewhere between the bed and the gym and start doom scrolling through useless stuff like what you're reading right now, maybe respond to or post something. By the time I pry myself out of this soul-sucking trap hidden in my phone, projecting itself straight from hell via some portal operated by a witch surrounded by sacrificed children at an altar in Silicon Valley, I find that I've lost my drive and desire to work on getting healthier and happier and improving the overall quality of my life by exercising. At this point, I just don't care anymore. There's no point in spending any more of my very limited energy trying to better things and diverting from my intended route to the gym equipment. Instead, I guide myself to my kitchen where I gorge on horrible and unhealthy food, no matter the amount consumed, mostly to try to bury the guilt and shame of not being able to accomplish the simplest goal. I bury it so deep, down in the dark crevices of my stomach beneath layers of poisonous foods that should be illegal for human consumption. After realizing what I'm doing and seeing myself in my head as a weak-minded person, I follow up by putting more horrible food into my mouth, forcing it down my neck and stacking it on top of the other poisonous portions I had just swallowed. Under all these layers in my stomach lies toxic guilt and shame that I try to smother away but still shines brightly. In my mind, because I always know it's there, I just won't face it or work on processing it, instead leaving it burning in the bottom of my belly like a cancer catalyst, beginning its metastasizing birth into my guts before it matures and ravages my entire body like a foreign army attacking me from the inside, taking no prisoners and offering no mercy. When I see this day as another wasted attempt at being even the least productive or swinging toward anything healthy, I realize I should shovel one last thing into my bottomless consumption machine, me, myself, my horrible mental health, and my neglected body. After all these years of being taken advantage of, my body will eventually take revenge on my soul by giving up its defense against my self-sabotaging psyche and let itself be destroyed, possibly even fighting back to speed up the destruction. Showing no remorse, I change course and divert once again, this time taking myself to my room and slinging myself back into bed with the little energy I have left from breathing and eating through my mouth at the same time. I am a mouth-breathing self-sadist showering myself and my stomach with a gluttonous, never-ending stream of processed, unnatural materials and chemicals, probably more unhealthy than eating raw garbage soup freshly scooped from the local landfill runoff. Now I realize I should go over everything I am thankful for from this day, and try to manifest some positive affirmations and goals for tomorrow, because tomorrow is new and filled with endless positive possibilities. Then I destroy myself with hateful judgment, as if my mind is a gang of terrible men whose sole purpose tonight is to beat my inner self, my confidence, and my belief in myself. As a good person to death in a dark alley, I mostly hurt from the verbal assault on myself more than the painful physical beating that feels like it's actually happening because my brain feels it. I lie there, thinking I'm really going to die. My physical self basically gives up, surrendering to the assault from my inner being against my entire self, shutting down, and I fall asleep. I have some horrible dreams to look forward to while I sleep. My inner self anxiously prepares to rise up in the morning and beat me again on that beautiful new day. Every day sliding one day closer to total destruction, until the horror finally stops along with everything else, only because the life I let waste away dies. Story 8. Laziness. Yes. Time to work out. Sometimes yes. Eat. Yes. Tired as hell. Yes. Sensory issues. Yes. I don't like being sweaty and then trying to fit in showers and needing to wash my hair. Sometimes my body gets super itchy and red. Yes. Do I feel better on days I work out? Yes. I'm trying to be more honest with myself and work out in a way that I'll have fun, even if it doesn't happen 3 days a week. Story 9. Usually I dislike caffeine. However, recently I have been performing very well at the gym. I have lost 11 pounds in 2 months. Story 10. I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, so most of the exercises out there make my heart rate jump up, which either gives me chest pain or presyncope, almost passing out. Luckily, I have recently found some postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome friendly exercises, so I just need to have some free time. Story 11. Laziness to wake up early in the morning comes from the moment I wake up around 6 a.m. Household chores stare at me with a nasty smile, demanding my attention until about 8:30 or 9 a.m. After that, I feel so tired that I need to relax on the couch to ease my muscles. Then, office work calls me like a sweet lullaby, only to stress me until 9 p.m. Finally, after dinner, my pillow on the bed wants me to hug it tightly soon. I believe this is the case for most men and women who do morning chores. Story 12. Severe pain. Standing for 20 minutes to cook dinner results in needing to sit or lie down for a few hours at best. I had a treadmill at one point. I tried. I could not get out of bed the next day. A lifetime of grand mal seizures takes its toll. Story 13. It is very hard. I weigh over 300 pounds and become sweaty and out of breath within 10 minutes of exercise. It is uncomfortable and makes me miserable. I do not experience the happy boost everyone claims comes from exercise. I have tried persisting before, exercising about 45 minutes a day, 3 to 4 times a week, and lost 75 pounds over several months. It still felt unpleasant every time. It is difficult to continue doing something that never feels fun or easy. I have tried many different types of exercise. I wish being hot, out of breath, and achy was not so uncomfortable. I would exercise more if it were not so miserable. Story 14. Excruciating pain. I have damage from the military to my back, hips, knees, and ankles. I also have disabling migraines. Combining all of that makes it very difficult to exercise. Every day is constant pain, all day, every day. Adding muscle soreness, if I can even get there, is hard. Story 15. Joint pain and severe fatigue, but mostly just not wanting to deal with sore muscles the next day, especially when I have to go to work. I already walk, move, and lift heavy objects all day at work, and then to have sore muscles on top of that hindering my work performance is not acceptable. Story 16. I am a roofer, so I am doing squats and lunges, holding my own weight all day. I use all my energy on endurance and have 0 spoons left to train cardio. I do not make nearly enough money to eat full meals more than once or twice a day. Story 17. Working every day on my farm. I do not need to go to a gym. More than anything, I need to see a chiropractor. To think I made this decision right around the time I was 50. What was I thinking? Story 18. Lupus has been affecting me severely these past few months. I desperately want to train. I miss the gym. I have competitions and exhibitions to perform at, but here I am moving slowly from bed to couch to bed again. I threw up and almost passed out just trying to mow the front yard today. And it is not even a big yard. Story 19. Do you mean in general or in particular cases? I exercise in general, but I don't in particular cases when I feel ill or tired. I have no problem with motivation because I got used to it long ago and integrated exercising into my daily schedule in different circumstances and variations. Story 20. It is too hot to walk outside. My walking pad is not very good. Since the walking area is relatively short, you need to keep an exact pace. Otherwise, you will walk into the wall. Story 21. I start work at my outdoor labor job at 7 a.m. Then right after that, I have class for 3 hours. My day ends at 8:30 p.m., and I am just so tired. My schedule is way too busy to even think about exercising. I also get a fair amount of physical movement at my job. Story 22. I am on my feet all day at work. Once I finally stop moving, everything hurts. I do not want to exercise when I can barely walk. Story 23. They keep acting friendly at first, then suddenly say, "Show me your breasts or send sapnu." Come on. Just because many girls today are more liberated does not mean I am too. Do not assume we are all the same. Be respectful to others. Thank you. Just a little note. Story 24. I walk around 4 miles every other day, usually ending with 12-pound and 25-pound dumbbell weights, glute bridges, a modified step-up using an old oak nightstand that is too high, and pull-ups. However, I stopped for a few months due to various reasons. What keeps me from going to the gym or working out intensely is generally joint pain. Running is high impact on my knees. Push-ups, barbells, and machines all seem to put strain on several joints. I believe a healthy body can be maintained for free, and if I want to work harder toward fitness, I can bike or swim. Story 25. I would not say quit exercising. I would say improve it. I now practice any movement, kick, or punch in exercise mode. I have always loved practicing martial arts. Story 26. Very good question. The absence of a safe nearby eyes on the street path through nature is the main reason. Also, I keep drinking the arm weights. Story 27. The Arkansas heat. A minute outside and I am being chased by wasps, and I am so hot that my chest feels like it is burning. Story 28. My back, cervical, and frozen shoulder issues are stopping me from exercising. I will return to it once I recover. Story 29. A paralyzing fear of overheating or experiencing any bodily discomfort, especially if it affects my digestive system. Experts say exercising helps with anxiety, but exercise triggers mine. Story 30. Time, money, and this health condition where I get rashes. It burns hot and itches so badly that even walking for more than 15 minutes causes it to happen. I do not know if it is related to body temperature rising, sweat, or just the fact that I am moving a lot. I grew up playing soccer, cross-country, and basketball, and it would happen then, but not as badly. It has gotten worse as I have gotten older. I am 24 now, overweight, and hate exercising despite missing it. Story 31. I see a lot of responses saying things like laziness, no time, no money, too lazy to exercise. I see people saying this who are not lazy at all, except suddenly I am to believe they completely abandon character when talking about exercise. Really? Others say no time. Yet I bet they spend 30 minutes a day buying junk food, watching television, or playing on social media. So not very often is time truly the culprit. No money? Walking is free. When I say all that stuff about they and them, I mean me too. After all, that is the question. Why don't I exercise? I don't exercise because I don't want to exercise. I don't exercise because it isn't important to me. I should, but I choose not to. People like to say lots of things to cover this inconvenient truth. I believe most others don't exercise because it isn't really important, the benefits seem too remote, and in the end, most of us just plain don't want to. If it were important, we would do it. If it were important, I would do it. Story 32. Boredom. I found that after I do my workout for a few weeks, I get bored of doing the same thing over and over. Yes, I know I need to exercise, but it gets boring. Story 33. Work and motivation. I have a physically demanding job, but I feel that my cardiovascular fitness can be improved significantly because most of the time I am walking around, lifting things and stretching. Story 34. Fibromyalgia. I used to walk more than 20 miles a day and was in the gym 3 times a week lifting weights. I was 2.5 stone lighter and in great shape. When I try to do even a quarter of that these days, I am exhausted and spend the next 2 days barely out of bed or the couch, shuffling around like an old man and breathing heavily. I crave going back to the gym, but I know that I cannot actually do what I want. Walking there to do some light exercise on a treadmill and, if I am lucky, some very light weights does not seem worth the cost financially and physically. Also, this damaged knee feels like a cement mixer when I use the stairs now, so even that is slowly slipping away. I hate it, and hopefully I will find a combination of medication and exercise I can keep up with consistently. For now, the best I can do is some virtual reality exercises on good days. Story 35. I wheeze and cannot catch my breath anytime I do anything other than walking or very light yoga. I am bored of those being my only known safe options. Story 36. I work at a grocery store pushing carts into the garage, which technically counts as exercise. I push many carts at once repeatedly, and it provides good cardiovascular activity. Also, since it is my job, I get paid to work out. I need to maintain a good diet because I am realizing that I should stop eating unhealthy food. I tend to eat more than I should. Story 37. I am feeling unmotivated right now. On that note, I should force myself to get on the stationary bike. Story 38. Joint disease causes intense pain and limited mobility. Every time I try to be active, I experience a flare and need to take prednisone. The pain lasts for at least 1 week, often 2. Story 39. I used to worry that people would point, stare, post me on social media, or make fun of me for being weak or overweight when trying to work out. Eventually, I overcame this and now go to the gym regularly, feeling much better. Story 40. A knee injury stopped me from running, and a shoulder tear limited any meaningful weight training. Both were difficult setbacks as I have been active for as long as I can remember. Story 41. Heart condition. I can only do light activities like going for a walk or riding a bike. I already walk a lot during the day, so I do not feel the need for more. Story 42. I do not need to. I get cardiovascular exercise continuously at work. I am very thin. I would need to gain weight before I could build muscle. Story 43. Physically, it would not be good for me at the moment because I am already in a calorie deficit, but I am hoping to work up to getting in some gentle walking in the fresh air soon. Slowly but surely we get there. I hope. Story 44. I genuinely do not enjoy physical activity, with the exception of kayaking 3 to 4 times a year. I eat well and like to think I am not lazy, as I have a good work ethic and discipline in other areas of my life. I just absolutely hate physical activity and exercise. I thought I might have low testosterone, but my levels are completely normal. I have some short resistance bands from Target that I use occasionally, but even that is annoying. Story 45. Because I really dislike it. It is boring, I dislike sweating, and I feel more tired or sore after exercising. Story 46. 50-hour work week. 4.0 grade point average with double majors, half a dozen children, and a tumor. My plate is a bit full at the moment. Story 47. It is easier to just starve myself, and I feel like I look attractive right now. I do not have much motivation or energy. Story 48. I just don't want to. If given the choice between sitting on the lounge watching television and eating snacks or going to the gym, I choose the lounge every time. I just can't be bothered. I have zero willpower and I am very lazy. Story 49. I worked 50 hours last week, and that is not a record for me, but it is my current normal. In other words, I am exhausted. Story 50. I do not like exercise. I find it unpleasant and have not found any form of exercise that I enjoy doing for its own sake. Story 51. Strange, but my lack of drive in life is what is stopping me. Yet when my heart is set on venturing forward, it is something that instinctively I realize I need and crave. Story 52. Chronic pain and fatigue. I try to take the occasional dance class, ballet, lyrical, or contemporary, when 6-week programs are offered because I enjoy the creativity, and it does not feel like a chore like most exercise activities. My whole body experiences chronic pain flare-ups for 3 or 4 days afterward, during which I cannot leave the house and spend most of the day in bed, but it is worth it sometimes. I wish I could be more active than 1 class a week, but that alone almost exhausts me. Story 53. My work schedule is random and inconsistent. With a 4-month-old baby, I haven't been to the gym in over 1 or 2 months. The past couple of days I have gone, and it feels nice. Story 54. I do not care about exercising. I get exercise, but I just do not go out with the intent of exercising. Story 55. The weather started improving again at the start of the year, but then we had a heat wave in February. When the weather was somewhat nice, it was raining. Now it is 10 degrees in the morning. Story 56. 1. The schedule is quite packed. 2. My knee has been hurting for a few months. Should I select sports that do not rely on weights? I currently train kickboxing. Story 57. Every time I go to exercise, someone I live with remarks something like, "Are you exercising? Are pigs flying? Has the sun fallen out of the sky?" It kind of pisses me off, to be honest, and it makes me not want to do it. Story 58. I have severe myalgic encephalomyelitis and fibromyalgia, which cause exercise intolerance and exhaustion. Even something like yoga can leave me bedbound for days. Story 59. My knees, man. I have runner's knee in both, and they grind, click, and dislocate. I do my best to go for walks, and I have been wanting to find more activities that I can do. I had an accident at age 16 and was not taken for medical care. My knees have been grinding ever since. Feel free to send helpful tips and exercises. Story 60. Feeling exhausted after work and worrying about being miserable at work if I exercise beforehand, but also feeling lazy and uncertain about where it fits on my priorities pyramid. Story 61. Motivation is the key for me. With attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, my brain actively acts like things that don't reward me will cause imminent death. I learned this is the reason about a month ago, so I have to trick it into thinking it is safe. The same part of my brain that says this is also the part that tells us as humans not to toss ourselves into a wood chipper. It is the survival part, not laziness or something like that. Story 62. Time, motivation, and discomfort. I have exclusively lived in apartments and do not feel like exercising in public. Story 63. Honestly, energy is a challenge. My depression has consumed me since my husband passed away. Before that, I had no energy to exercise because I was focusing on taking care of him. Now I am going back to work as a nurse and will definitely have no energy then either. I know everyone says you get more energy after exercising for a while, but I am just too drained to even start. Exercising is mentally draining too because you have to come up with a plan, schedule times, have money for gas, pay for the gym, decide which gym to go to, and get workout clothes. It is just too much for my overloaded brain. Story 64. Chronic illness. If I exercise, my body responds with flu symptoms. Fever, chills, body aches, nausea, and migraine. Story 65. My hormones. I used to be a dedicated gym enthusiast but took a few months off to go back home and reset my mind. When I returned to the gym, I unintentionally bulked significantly, despite seemingly doing everything the same and correctly. Story 66. I really dislike the experience of exercising. Many people say they feel energized afterward and get a mental health boost. For me, it has the complete opposite effect. Story 67. I was working out very consistently until about a couple of months ago. I work an extremely physical job in a steel foundry, and it gets very hot during the summer. My body cannot handle both right now. I only work 4 days a week, so I usually go for a walk or bike ride once or twice during my 3-day weekends. Story 68. It is too hot to go outside and garden. I dislike most other forms of exercise, especially those that require me to interact with people. Story 69. Chronic pain, excessive sweating, and breathing problems. I break out in sweat from any minor thing, including just getting dressed. When I try to exercise or do anything similar, I sweat so much that I can barely see because my eyes sting, and the amount of sweat all over my body makes me itch terribly. This is not just normal exercise sweat or because of my weight. I have had this issue since high school when I weighed at most 120 pounds. I sweat and overheat so badly that I am known for never wearing jackets or coats, even in winter, because I physically cannot handle it. I have had breathing problems since I became very sick in 2019. The cough never went away, and it feels like my lungs do not work properly anymore. Before that, I could still go for walks or attend the gym without issues. Now, even sitting still, my lungs feel tight and I start coughing. I have complained for years, but my doctor never found anything wrong, so my concerns were ignored. Chronic pain is difficult to describe. I usually push through the pain, stopping for a few minutes occasionally to ease the searing pain. But combined with every other issue, it feels overwhelming. I was never very active but did not have trouble moving, walking everywhere, or playing outside with my dogs. Now, I feel like I am falling apart and no one listens to me. I am overweight now, but almost all these issues began before my weight gain. People did not listen to me when I was smaller. Now, they see that I am overweight and say, "No wonder you have these problems. Go work out and the issues will go away." How can I make people understand that my weight did not cause these problems? They started years earlier. It is very disheartening. I want to be able to do things and not feel like an embarrassment to those around me. If my doctors had taken me seriously before, maybe I would not be in this situation. Now I just hate my life. Story 70. My poor time management has caused me to not go to the gym for the last 2 months. I think this is because I got too busy with college exams and now this internship. If I think about it, it is probably due to my procrastination. I wake up every morning at 5 o'clock just so I can go to the gym, but then I say I will start from tomorrow because I am too tired today due to yesterday's work. Story 71. I lift literally tons of steel 10 hours a day. Unfortunately, my doctor told me that this does not count as exercise. I have been meaning to visit the community pool for some lap swimming. Story 72. Because I am blind, have no room at home for exercise equipment, and cannot find anyone to go out and do activities with. As an introvert, I would ideally like to exercise alone, but that is not an option, so I have given up. Story 73. Work and motivation. I work 12-hour days starting at 7 a.m. and often do not have the energy when I get home. I would prefer to limit food intake rather than exercise. Story 74. My knee has really affected my ability to exercise. The asthma has always been a problem, but I had actually started a pretty decent regular routine. Then my left knee started slipping out of place. Fingers crossed that the physical therapy gets it back into shape. Story 75. I do not like exercising, and I cannot find reasons to do it that I personally care about. Story 76. Mine is a weird situation. I had a stroke almost 5 years ago, and now my balance is off. Before the stroke, I was in great shape and could lift weights. I am careful due to my balance, but mentally, it is hard to get that mindset. I go slow now and have turned to a lot of stretching and walking. The old body is not what it used to be. I am still here, so that is a positive. Story 77. The only correct answer for anyone is being lazy, unless you are disabled and cannot lift weights or exercise. Story 78. It makes me feel depressed. I thought I was crazy until I met people online who had the same problem. Story 79. Currently, I am on a short break due to working constant 12 to 14-hour days. I am choosing to prioritize sleep until I return to my regular schedule. Story 80. Laziness and time. I work 2 jobs. I get home at midnight and have to wake up at 6 a.m. for my main job. I am always too tired to do any workouts. Story 81. Cyst in my lower back, top of my buttocks. Operated twice in my youth. Never healed properly. Had to stop martial arts at 17, or I would end up bleeding all over my white GI pants. If I work out, it gets infected, swells, then bursts. If it gets too hot and humid, it gets infected, swells, then bursts. The first procedure was under general anesthesia, took half a year to heal, and it came back 2 years later. The second procedure was under local anesthesia. They tried to cauterize it. It took a few months to heal and came back 5 years later. Last time, I waited a year and a half for an appointment with a surgeon, only to be told in 10 minutes, "Can't do anything. You need a plastic surgeon to fix that now." So I decided to just deal with it when it acts up. In my early 40s, I still have it and use a folded piece of toilet paper in my buttock crease daily in case it starts bleeding, to avoid staining my clothes. Story 82. I am still healing from an injury. I lift weights these days only with the physiotherapist's supervision. Story 83. Today, my eldest son said he wanted chicken wings, sweet potato mash, and my famous Parmesan broccoli for dinner. He even cashed in his reward chip for reading 4 books this week. You bet I skipped the gym to make my boy that dinner. Tomorrow is leg day, though. Story 84. I just work so much. I get home and collapse because I am tired, and I wake up the next day to go to work. Story 85. Time and illness. I try to include as much exercise as possible, but I work a 10-hour shift where if there is a client in the building, I am required to be at my desk. I even have to strategically schedule bathroom breaks, and my service dog has learned not to drink a lot of water during the day so she can wait until the lunch break to go outside. Additionally, I am a student, so I spend extended periods doing homework, exams, and other assignments. I am also a board member of our church, which is an hour's drive away. Whenever there is a church event, meeting, or function, I have to drive an hour there, participate, and drive an hour back. I have chronic illnesses that affect me some days, and I take medication that drains my energy every day. Despite all this, I am trying to incorporate exercise. Story 86. Shame. Insane shame. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder executive dysfunction. Laziness. I do not like being in pain. I walk, but it is not enough. Story 87. I have a health problem, but no one can really tell me where it comes from. I always start my workout routine, feel amazing, and get sick around 2 weeks in. Because I don't want it to get worse, I usually wait until it is gone completely, but that usually takes weeks, and then the cycle continues. Doctors could not help, at least not the ones who took seriously what I said. It is really frustrating because I love how I feel after a workout and really want to exercise regularly, but I get sick every time and it never really goes away. Story 88. Time mostly. But honestly, I'm on my feet rushing around, lifting things, bending down, rushing around. Harvest is the best. Story 89. I am in nursing school, and I have an 8-month-old baby. My partner is not around often, so I am basically a single parent. If I had time, I would. Story 90. Lifestyle. We have a small farmstead where there is constant work and projects to do. By the time I finish our office job, I start lawn mowing, livestock chores, miscellaneous projects, or pool care at 5:30 p.m. and work until dark. Then I get an unhealthy dinner, and it is 9:30 p.m. before I can wind down, going to bed at 11 p.m. It is impossible to get up at 5 a.m. to work out. Add baseball and golf during the week and weekend, and there it is. I get a lot of exercise, but my diet is unhealthy. Story 91. In our house, we have a mini gym on the 3rd floor. It has a treadmill and some other equipment that could really help me lose some weight, but I never train there. Ask me why. Apparently, I am extremely scared of the 3rd floor because paranormal activity happens there. I even heard my parents talking once about how they feel like jinn live on that floor. Jinn are Islamic demons or spiritual ghosts. Story 92. It's really boring if you have nobody to chat with while doing it. I'm not much into the gym rat thing, but I don't know anybody who would tag along for a bike ride or hike. It's funny because I ride for 10 miles and take my time, but seeing the same scenery all the time isn't inspiring. Other than that, after having COVID-19 for a second time, breathing doesn't always work the same. I can't push to the same level without huffing and puffing. That takes some of the fun out of it too. As I get older, big strains or injuries don't recover quickly. I still have to take it easy to avoid those issues even if I don't want to. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.